What's up? Ryan Jones from SERPrecon here again, and today I want to talk about kind of the evolution of SEO and how it's gone from keywords on the page to semantic SEO. And then I want to talk about kind of a semantic analysis framework for, SEO success on how SERPrecon can help with that, but also, um, you know, kind of where things are moving, where things are going in the SEO industry, and how we can do that deeper content analysis. So in the old days of SEO, it was all about, do I have the keyword in the title tag, the meta description, in my H1 tag, in my paragraph, right? There's still some tools out there that will say, hey, you have your keyword tag in 3 H2s, your competitors have it in 4, add an H2 tag, right? That's not how we rank. We know that doesn't work. We know that doesn't work anymore. That's not how SEO works. It's evolved to more semantic analysis, not just keyword density or domain authority or things like that. And so I want to dive into a little bit about how SERPrecon can help you do that deeper content analysis and look at some metrics and look at some ideas and help you improve your semantic SEO. So I've already ran a report here for the word semantic SEO. I ran it in New York, and I ran it against SERPrecon.com on August 3rd. And you could run this in any city you want, etc. I don't want to talk about the page performance tab. This tells me all the metrics about my page and my content and how it's doing. But for this video, I want to really talk about the competition and the optimized tabs so that we can see the type of data we need and how we do that deeper content analysis. Talk less about how I rank for this, and we'll talk more about what ranks for this, what is searchers expecting for this, what Google wants to reward for this. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to meet you guys over on the SERP competition tab right now, and let's dive into it. All right, so we're on the SERP competition tab of this report. But first I want to understand a little bit more, what is a semantic content analysis? What is a deeper content analysis, right? It's not just keywords on page. We have to understand the structure and the topic and the intent, the depth of information. We have to understand the content gaps of what users are expecting, and we have to understand how search engines assess relevance based on a number of different factors. And so, one of the things I always tell people is if you want to rank for a term, don't just say, how do I rank this website for a term, but instead ask, what do users searching this term want? And then go build that website. And that's kind of the approach we have to take here. And one thing that's great about SERPrecon is we can actually take that approach for you and show you what do search engines expect? What are they rewarding? What are people looking for? By analyzing all of the sites that actually do rank before we sit down and write our copy or write our content. We can get all of that. So the first thing we do on this competition page is we look at the intent distribution. And we can see for semantic SEO, there's a highly informational intent, both in the title tags and the copy. And we use our own machine learning model to determine this, right? And we can show you everybody who ranks and what their scores are. But we grab a lot of key information from the people that rank. And so I will pick on this Search Engine Journal article about semantic SEO here. And when I click on more details, right, here's all the keywords we extracted from that article, the most relevant keywords we extracted from that article. And we use Google's BERT algorithm to do that. Google says BERT's a top 3 ranking factor, so why not use it? It's open source, actually, so anybody can use Google's BERT if you know how to code. But you don't need to know how to code because we built it into SERPrecon. So here's the keywords, right? Semantic SEO, yeah, that's probably the most relevant keyword around semantic SEO. Makes sense, model's working. But you need to talk about strategies and how to improve and rankings, content, right? You need to talk about keywords and what signals and meaning. Semantic SEO means meaning. It is what does the words mean, not just the right words on the page. So you can start to get a handle, and this is just the keywords from this one article. And then entities. Entities are things, but we use Google's knowledge graph, Google's actual entity API to pull out entities from the content. And so you can see some of the entities they're talking about are obviously SEO and Google and CTO. They probably quoted somebody on the page here. But web content, natural language processing algorithms. Yeah, right? This is the stuff that we need to talk about. What is the meaning of the content? And so we can get all that cool data. And that's just this data for one page. That data is here for every one of these pages that we want to see, right? And you can also understand the search result. You can see how title tags were changed. We have a video for that. We'll link it down below. You can go check out that video. You can see what other search features showed up on the page. And then you can see the summary here. So, right, we just looked at one page's keywords, but here's the top extracted keywords, right? 8 of the 10 sites said search. as one of their 20 most relevant keywords. Google, content, semantic SEO, keywords, topics, right? You can see the most relevant keywords here. You can also see bigrams. And so bigrams are just two-word combinations after we remove all the like for, of, the, right, and punctuation. We can see the two-word combinations that are the most semantically relevant to the page. So NPMI is a weird metric. It just basically means how surprising is this two-word term statistically. Surprising terms are good. It means they're not used often, so it means there's something to that. It's a topic that not every web page in the world uses. So structured data, natural language, case studies, right? There's probably something about a paleo diet in one of their example case studies, so that's probably why this is showing up. But you can see, different types of entity or different types of keywords here, right? We can show, related searches and questions. What questions you need to answer? What searches showed up? If there was something in the knowledge graph on the right-hand side of Google that showed up, like if you'd search for a celebrity or something, you'd get information. We would show you that here too, not for this search, right? And then we take all this data. Why am I going over all this data? Because to do a semantic SEO analysis, to understand content from a semantic SEO standpoint, you need to understand the most salient topics and the entities on pages, on your competitors. What are the words they're using? What are the topics that they're using, right? What are their entities and keywords on the page? You need to understand all this stuff, right? And then do a gap analysis of your content. And that's where the Optimize tab comes in. When you go to the Optimize tab here, you can say, hey, here's the keywords you're missing. You don't talk about this stuff enough. Or if you do talk about it, it's not the most relevant thing on your site. Maybe you should figure out how to make it, right? And I picked a page purposely that doesn't rank for semantic SEO, so I could see it says, hey, dummy, if you want to rank for semantic SEO, you actually have to say that on this page, which we don't on our homepage. Here's the entities you're missing, right? It talks about all these different entities, right? SEO copywriters and developers and keywords and content and Reddit and SEO strategies, topics, right? Here's all the entities you need to have. And if you're really feeling bold, you can come down here and you can edit your copy and hit this button, and it'll show you the new keywords we extracted from it. So you can play around with it and see what happens. But we also have this optimized content outline here. This is an AI-driven content outline. And so if we click this, we get pretty instantly an outline of how to rank for this topic. And it says, all right, if you want to rank for semantic SEO, here's what you should write. An explanation of semantic SEO. Yeah, that makes sense. Why it's important. Yep, check. What is semantic SEO? Define it, how it differs from traditional SEO, the benefits of implementing it, right? Give some examples and case studies, compare it to traditional SEO, talk about how to implement it, give some actionable techniques here, talk about keywords, and then have a conclusion. That's a pretty solid outline for an article about semantic SEO. It's probably better than a couple of the examples we clicked on the last page. But where does this come from? This content outline is not just, hey, AI, I want to rank for semantic SEO, give me an outline. Like, so many tools out there are just prompts, right? They're just like taking the user's prompt and passing it on to AI. We feed this all of the data that we extract from every page that ranks, every keyword, every entity, every bigram and its NPMI score and its salient score, right? We take every little piece of data. We define all the metrics for it in a information retrieval way, like a search engine, and we give it a huge prompt teaching it everything it needs to know about how search engines work, how they rank content, and then everything it needs to know about all the content on all the sites, and then all these metrics. And then we generate an outline with our own model that's trained to do this. And so if you really want to master semantic SEO, take a look at SERPrecon, take a look at all the data, take a look at the gap analysis here, and then use our outline. You don't have to copy it word for word. In fact, we stop short of giving you the actual article because we don't want to put more AI content on the web. We want you to write it. We just want AI to help you write it. But there's nothing stopping you if you wanted to paste it into AI and say, write me this article, right? You could do that. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could do it. But check it out, play with it. You can actually rewrite your content here and make some changes, and let me do that, right? Let's just type in semantic SEO is replacing traditional SEO, blah blah blah, semantic SEO, and let's say I just didn't like any of this content here, like right here, so I'll delete it, right? And then we can rerun this here and see what happens. Right, so we rerun it. It takes about 30 seconds. I paused the video so you didn't have to watch the wheel spin for 30 seconds. But you can see our new scores here, our new intents, right? Whatever I deleted made my intent commercial instead of informational, so that was probably a bad thing to do. But you can then see the new keywords that it extracted from the page. And I didn't type semantic SEO enough in here, so it didn't show up. But and it will also show you the most relevant snippet for that keyword. And since this page doesn't talk about semantic SEO at all, it picked the snippet I just entered, semantic SEO, blah, 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 right? Because that's the most relevant snippet. So I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.